call of the Hawks can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
And welcome in to the Pod at the Palace post-game show presented by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. I'm Curtis Wilkerson. He's Andrew Ellis. We're here to talk about Arkansas's 93-56 win over UCA at Bud Walton Arena here tonight. Folks, get your thoughts and reactions in the comments. We'll start getting to them pretty quick here this evening. Sour taste left in everyone's mouth after Saturday. The team, the fans, everybody besides UCA probably just kind of needed to see a bounce back game or a get right game. I don't know if that's exactly what we got. Sloppy, sleepy first half, better after the break. When all was said and done, Andrew, Arkansas won, they covered, but did this do the trick for you? How much better do you feel after watching Arkansas take down UCA tonight?
Not entirely new outlook where I feel awesome, but I also wasn't completely down in the dumps after Saturday's loss, although I was a little bit bummed out. First off, want to give UCA credit. Love to see the boys from Conway make their way up to Fayetteville. A lot of in-state kids on that roster, a lot of kids with a lot of pride in the state of Arkansas that I'm sure, it was a big deal for them playing in Bud Walton Arena. Want to commend them. It's awesome. Great men of faith, great men of character. I'm sure they're going to be pillars of their community in this state for years to come. Shout out to them. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I thought this was a really casual and average effort from the Arkansas Razorbacks, and, not a bad one by any means. There's a lot of good we can talk about with some individual players, some things that they did well in this game. Of course, you scored 93 points. Nice to see after getting held to 66 on Saturday. But I thought Arkansas didn't have kind of that intensity, that, desperation. Not that they're in a desperate situation by any means, but when you're coming off a loss, you kind of want to see you get backed in a corner. You want to see how that hunger kind of come out. I think Arkansas knew they were going to win this game very comfortably. They scouted this team. They knew what was at stake here and knew that no matter what they did, they were going to win this game. It was just a matter of how much. And I think they kind of played with that intensity that, to be fair, they matched the effort from the crowd as well. There wasn't a ton of fans in Bud Walton Arena once again. Overall, it was a so-so performance. Some good you can take away from it, some bad. I'm sure we're going to break it all down, and I look forward to doing so. But no, I did not take away like a huge, man, this team looks juiced and ready to go on a run. They got some work to do, but I anticipate they are going to be up for that work.
Yeah, for sure. But, you take a win. You never complain too much about it. I think it was Hayden. It might have rolled off the chat. No, there it is. He says that was a weirdly unsatisfying 40-point win. Kind of how I feel. It's all good. I'm happy they figured it out there in the back half of the second half and got that margin to where it needed to be. We talked about it a little bit on Inside Arkansas Live today, Andrew. Like, sometimes it takes you the course of a game to get that margin to where it needs to be. And I know there were times I've seen it in Bud Walton Arena before, saw it with UConn last night where, you look up at one point in the first half late and it's still a single digit game. And you're kind of thinking, all right, what the heck's really going on here? Like, can we figure it out a little bit? Arkansas wound up figuring it out. This is interesting because no Trevin Brazil, by the way. Everybody who just watched the game knows that. Was out with, I'm doing the air quotes here, back spasms. Although I will say, John and I were pretty close to the Razorback bench, and he was wearing, they put that like heat pack on him. It's got the electrical stem, like the massage thing. He had that on pretty much the entire game. So at least he was committed to the bit if that was a thing. So Arkansas rolls with an 8-man rotation. Carter Knox got it rolling with a big double-double right away. He was a man on the mission. You know what I mean? He comes out, he scores Arkansas's first 5 points. He's on the boards. He blocks a shot. He finishes this game with 19 points and 10 rebounds, and he hit 4 3-pointers. So you want to take a positive away from this one for Arkansas? It's Carter Knox figured it out, and he figured it out in a hurry. That was really good to see. He and Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas combined for a majority of Arkansas's points there. The freshmen weren't great. They were both better in the second half, especially Darius Acuff. I thought he looked a little bit uneven, maybe a little bit lost out there. UCA just like completely backed off Arkansas. And it was like pack line defense. We're going to pack the paint. You want to beat us from three? Beat us from three. Dude, Arkansas shot 34 3-pointers in this game. I never thought I would see the day where a Razorback team took 34 3-point attempts. They made 13 of them, so I'll give them credit for that. But it felt like they were settling for large portions of the game. In the first half, the half-court offense was dribble, dribble, dribble. Can I make a move and get into the paint? If not, I might make one pass and then somebody's going to hoist a three. I thought they ran some more sets, some more purposeful action in the second half. Okay. Defensively in the first half, a little bit casual. They fouled a 3-point shooter twice. That was irritating some folks, getting beat on some back doors and some dribble handoff action, some miscommunication stuff. It was better for stretches in the second half. So it wasn't like the emphatic, oh yeah, from start to finish, they kind of overcorrected on everything that got them against Michigan State. It was more, yeah, you saw some of the same stuff in the first half and maybe early in the second half. And then by the end of the game, they showed some signs of life in a lot of those areas. So be anxious to see what they look like on Friday when they do this thing all over again. But the end result, at least, I'm a little bit happier than I was like 5 minutes into the second half, where I was thinking, man, we're really going to have to come on here and complain about this because I don't want to.
You mentioned the Michigan State game, which, there's not much that transfers over from Saturday on the road in a ruckus environment to now Tuesday at home in front of a, mild environment, in front of a completely different, substantially worse opponent. There wasn't going to be much that you could really compare and contrast between the two games. Of course, UCA was not going to pound it inside and have 55 paint points or whatever against Arkansas. But I will say the one common theme between these two games, one thing that made me concerned after the Michigan State game, I felt like Arkansas's guards, a lot of which are very good at getting downhill, getting to the rim. Darius Acuff felt like he can always get by his man. DJ Wagner, we know he loves to go downhill. Carter, Billy, we both seen them a good bit. Getting into the paint, getting to the rim, and making things happen. That was another thing that we just didn't see a ton of today. It was a little bit easier to do it. They got out and ran a little bit more, some more fast break opportunities, but in the half court, not a ton of actions that involved an Arkansas ball handler going downhill towards the basket. And so I look at the 3-point numbers, like you touched on, 34 3-point attempts, which honestly, me, Curtis, I'm a guy that's pretty, forward thinking with that, where I'm like, hey, I think you need to shoot a ton of threes. I think you do need a certain amount of volume. So it's not even the number that really worries me, especially because what was the percentage they made 38% of their threes. 38% is a good 3-point percentage at that volume. That actually will lead to good things long term, but it's the quality of the shot. Not that I thought they were all horrible shots. I thought it was more just we're passing it around the perimeter. We get some space. I'm Carter Knox. I'm 6'6". They can't really defend this. I'm just going to go ahead and take this. And he made a lot of them. Malik Thomas took and made a lot. Made a few. Darius Acuff made 3 in a row right there. A lot of them were just guards creating shots for themselves. It's one thing to take a 3 off a pass. It's one when you're getting into the paint, kicking out, collapsing defense. Now all of a sudden they're reacting to you. I thought a lot of the 3-point attempts Arkansas took, which are not bad looks, and they made their fair share of them. I just felt like the process wasn't great necessarily. And so that's what kind of concerns me. I really, honestly, it kind of ties into how I feel about this team big picture right now. Is they're a collection of good players is what they are. They're not a good basketball team necessarily right now. They're a collection of guys that are doing some good things. Acuff's playing some good ball. Malik Thomas hasn't shot it super well the last 2, but he's making good decisions. I thought he was actually great in this game. Carter Knox, good to see some life, but Malik Ewan is a little bit better. The bigs were fine. I just felt like everyone was kind of okay, but I didn't see a super connected real team effort, which you didn't need to beat UCA tonight. You don't necessarily have to have it figured out in November, but I would like to see a little bit more ball movement, getting the defense truly reacting rather than just saying, I can take this shot, so I might as well.
Yes. I'm already kind of thinking ahead, Andrew, to doing the report card after this, because I feel like people are going to look at the box score and I'm going to catch a lot of hell for some of the things that I grade out, like offensively for Arkansas. And this kind of goes to what you were alluding to. It's like, okay, you shoot 49% from the field, 38% on 13 made 3-pointers. You go 18 of 22. That's 82% from the free throw line. You had 17 assists to just 8 turnovers. And for large portions of the game, I thought it was a little bit clunky and uneven, and the ball was sticking, and there wasn't a lot of purposeful actions out there. I don't even know what kind of a grade to attach to this. So I'm glad Arkansas made shots, and they got a team that can do that this year. I guess I'm encouraged by that, Andrew, because last year Arkansas ran into situations in a lot of these games early on where a lot of the same stuff was true, where, boy, the ball wasn't really moving and guys looked a little bit uncomfortable out there, not sure what to do. You weren't getting a lot of great actions and sets, and they couldn't make shots. So I will take this gladly compared to what we saw last year, because I think they'll be able to figure some of the other things out. I really think UCA just kind of packing the paint on them, it got in their head a little bit. So when Arkansas was out on the break, they were attacking the rim and everything, and that's good. But they were completely okay with Arkansas taking a bunch of 3-pointers And it feels like part of the game plan was, no, we want you attack, get downhill, get to the rim. And it just wasn't there. And then if I'm a guy like Malik Thomas, who went 4 of 13 from 3 in this game, when somebody is like literally 6 to 8 feet off of me and just giving me the wide open 3, I feel like I've got to take that, man. And so, yeah, maybe not the ones 5 seconds into the shot clock or without a bunch of, a pass in the possession, or nobody's made a single cut or a screen so far, but I'm not too mad at him because it's like, damn, they weren't even guarding him. And he's, the best shooter on your team. So it's kind of a weird one to evaluate from an offensive standpoint when you consider that. Because I look at it and I'm like, all right, maybe you rushed a few, but I'm never going to yell at Malik Thomas for taking a wide open 3. I don't know. What do you think about that? It's particularly with Leak, because I could not believe that UCA was just not guarding him.
I feel like I've said this about Malik Thomas after every game this year, where I'm like, yeah, he missed some shots there in whatever half, but like I was fine with the shots. And that's definitely mostly how I feel. And again, it's not even like, the 34 threes. I know everybody's going to freak out about that. I'm sure that will be a huge narrative coming out of this game. If we literally had a screenshot of all 34 of those threes, there probably wouldn't be many that we would point to and say, nah, take that one out. Don't shoot that one. Don't shoot that one. A lot of them you could justify taking, and so Arkansas took them. And so I'm with you on that. I also think big picture, of course, we always do the oversimplification of, well, Cal's got all these good guys, and he just kind of lets them do their thing. Like, that's their offense, and that's always used as a critique. And then, of course, when you have one of the best offenses in the country, it's like still kind of used as a knock against you. If that is something that is going to bother you, is Cal trusting these talented 5-star guards to kind of do their thing offensively, then you're going to be upset a lot, because that is going to happen a lot. And I also think, like you touched on, they did the schematically kind of what UCA was doing. Almost like, when you're a small school in a game like this, they took 43s and they basically were trying to force Arkansas to take threes. Like, it seems like they just kind of went in with a very specific, this is our chance, let's just do it. There's not much about this game. And so when you come into evaluating it, there's not much about this game that you can really take moving forward, where it's like, oh, how will this look against Auburn? How will this look against Tennessee? None of those questions really matter in a game like this. It's more about kind of what you and your team get out of it, what certain individuals like Malik Ewan, like Darius Acuff, or whoever are getting out of this game. Matchup-wise, I don't really have too much of an issue with how Arkansas handled this game in particular. I just also don't think this was the solution to all of our problems and a real effort that makes me feel good about the team overall.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. So we were like 15 feet or so away from the bench and John Calipari most of the game. So we were able to hear a lot of what he was saying. And first of all, early in the game, I tweeted this out. There was a wasp over there that was like flying around the bench and harassing people. Like the trainer, Matt Townsend, noticed it. Trevin Brazil had like his hood up, and they were all just very aware of this wasp. Like I'm low-key surprised nobody got stung, because I think like John quote tweeted, that thing was aggressive, man. And that wasp had more energy than either team on the floor did for the first couple minutes there. But John Calipari, I'm talking about, was in Malik Thomas's ass the entire game. He was yelling at Malik Thomas every second he was on the floor. Like, it's uncanny. He would do something good, Cal's yelling at him. He'd make a turnover, Cal's yelling at him. Every defensive possession, Cal's yelling at him. He comes back down the floor. He's like, yo. He was all over Malik Thomas. And so I can tell he's really, really pushing him to be great, because I don't think he was bad in this game by any means. He had 17 points, inefficient again from the field, 6 of 17, but 6 rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers. You know what I mean? So like he was pretty good there. Cal was all over him. And he was also Malik Ewan. This is something that really stood out to me, and I know we want to talk about him as well. The last time before I left, before the under 8 timeout, so like he started the second half, came out. When he came back in, Cal goes over to him and he's subbing him in, and he's just yelling in Malik Ewan's face, energy, we've got to have energy. Like, the things that we see, folks, so does he, obviously. When we talk about a guy like Malik Ewan being casual out there, need to have some more fire and some more pep in his step, they see it too, and they're doing everything they can to get it out of him. And I love how hard Coach Cal is coaching up these freshmen, man, because he's not letting anything slack. He was getting on to Darius Acuff too about certain things, especially defensively. But man, oh man, he was lighting in the leak the entire game. It was wild.
Yeah, I like that. Which, by the way, I guess now's the time we can do the evaluation of Malik Thomas as his first career start. First time Arkansas puts him in the starting lineup, which, Brazil's out. Someone else has to come in. It's really not the end of the world, although they did kind of also move Carter into that back into that starting lineup, starting at the 4. I thought Malik Thomas, I honestly, Curtis, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Like, I don't think you go back to Malik Thomas off the bench. Not that he was so good in this game that he's undeniable. I just feel like now that we've kind of broken the seal, are you really going to, now that you've made your best player a part of the starting lineup, are you going to remove him from the starting lineup? I don't think you do.
Yeah, I don't think so either. You've done it now. And especially with, if you think about Cal's history, everybody likes to talk about how he didn't start Shea for the first however many games of his career, and it took him too long. And then obviously the Reed, Shepard, Rob Dillingham thing. It's like, now that you've inserted Leak, because you could have done the deal where it's like, listen, he's our microwave guy. He's our 6th man. He comes in and gives us such a boost. Well, now you put him in there. I'm kind of with you, man. I don't think you can go away from it. This might just be a 3-guard starting lineup. And my question then would be, because the reason that this happened was because TB was out. So you start Carter and you sort of go 4-guard. Well, what do you do there? Do you just roll with that? Do you get TB back in there? Because if you do, you're either benching Carter or Leak. And I say bench, like they're going to play, but you take them out of the starting lineup. I was going to be fascinated to see what this stuff would look like going into the game. And now that they've done it, I'm kind of like, I don't know what they need to do with the rest of it, but I'm with you. I don't think Malik Thomas needs to come out.
Did you mention DJ Wagner in that little soliloquy, Curtis?
Because I didn't know, but
he's the guy that preseason.
Isn't that a given?
No, it kind of is, I guess. But it is interesting because, one, I thought he was very good in the Michigan State game, by the way. And so if you are taking DJ Wagner out of the starting lineup, it's not due to performance. And I do think he did, he was fine in this game. I didn't think there was anything good or bad really to take away from his game. And no matter what you do, it's not a situation like if it is Malik Thomas that goes back to the bench, it's not because he's not one of your top 5 guys. If DJ, maybe it is, but it's like, I do think that's going to be very interesting because that's something that Cal also has never done, has moved DJ Wagner to the bench. That has never happened in his career. So it is going to be interesting to see if he makes that move when TB comes back. Maybe they do just continue to have Trevin come off the bench. You just have Trevin and Malik Ewan as your bench bigs. Maybe that's just how you roll with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I think that's more likely than him bringing DJ Wagner off of the bench. Go ahead.
I guess you could also just have TB at the 5, which is always kind of like, I think Arkansas's finishing the game lineup will include Carter Knox at the 4 and Trevin Brazil at the 5 in certain matchups. Like, it won't always be that way. You'll find some teams, but I do think that is a thing they might do. And so maybe when Trevin's back, they're just like, screw it, start at the 5.
Yeah, that is interesting. I already see here from WMF Pig says it would prevent TB from getting in early foul trouble, which is true. And you do need to avoid that. You really do need to avoid that. That's an interesting thought. I do wish, and I'll believe it when I see it with DJ Wagner, but I do wish they would just one game try to bring him off of the bench, because I wonder if that could be something that is kind of a catalyst for him to being a little bit more effective and aggressive. It's like, all right, right now I'm starting and I got these 2 freshmen with me. Where am I going to get my shots? Where do I fit in? Sometimes I have it figured out. Sometimes I don't. But if he's like the first guy in as the 6th man there, it's like, all right, you come in, you give Acuff or Tom, whoever, a blow right away. And then automatically you can come in and kind of assert yourself. It's like, all right, this is my rotation. This is my group. There might be something to that you could get a little bit more, extrapolate more out of DJ. I don't think Cal will ever do it, but I also don't think it's crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how they play that card.
It is, and I also think there's something too, think about some of those guys that also are coming off the bench. Billy Richmond, who, could wind up being in this starting lineup very much. I mean, he started a couple games early. You and I agree, though, him off the bench kind of makes more sense. Billy Richmond coming off the bench, Malik Ewan coming off the bench. Those are 2 guys that kind of need a point guard to set things up for them. And so I kind of like the idea of DJ, not that you're ever really doing the mass sub thing where it's like all 3 come in, but I do kind of conceptually like the idea of, hey, DJ, you're coming in off the bench. And so now you're on the ball and you kind of get to create right away when you get in the game. But also we've got this head case big man who only plays hard if we give him touches. Make sure he gets the ball. We got Billy, who he's very good if you put him in the right context. I think there's something there. But really, when it comes to Malik Thomas, because I think he's the most fascinating part about this, because I keep referring to him as the best player on the team, and I'm just going to continue to do that until I'm proven wrong. And I know he wasn't necessarily super efficient tonight, but Cal and all these other coaches, they will always be talking themselves into how can I have my best players on the floor as long as possible. And as you get closer and closer to March and the game start heating up, you start seeing the minutes of these guys just go 32, 35, 37. Oh, we're going to overtime. This guy played 42 minutes today. It's like they always kind of start to do that. Now that I feel like Arkansas has put Malik Thomas in the starting lineup game 3, I feel like Cal's going to have that decision where he's like, do I take this guy out of the game like ever? And if I do, is it just for a quick spurt here and there?
Yeah, I know. And this is the part of having 4 bye games like this in a row that does excite me, because you can experiment. And we're going to be able to start seeing some patterns and some different things in what you would hope is a situation where you're not at jeopardy of losing a game. Like, they should have everything well under control, and you'll be able to experiment, make some tweaks. I know BBN gets triggered by that when you talk about the Calipari tweak. Well, maybe he's just doing it a little bit earlier this year. I don't know. I'm looking at the minutes tonight, and again, it's a little bit weird because Trevin wasn't out there. Obviously, that would impact a lot of things. Mainly, Sealy wouldn't have played 13. Right, which good on him for getting in there and everything. But
had some good moments, by the way.
He did. Yeah, he did. Both of the games where I thought, man, Sealy played pretty well. He got off to like slow starts. He's 1 of 5 from the field in this game, and he had a couple moments, like freshman moments in there. But yeah, I thought he did some good things. But like, yeah, 33 from Leak, 34 from Acuff. No surprise there. But I think I'm, for the most part, okay with everyone else's minutes. 23 from Knox. In bigger games, he's going to play more than that. But like 29,
kind of coming back from injury.
Yeah, like they didn't push him too much. 29 from Wagner. That's probably about right. If you get Wagner in like that 25 to 28 type of range, I think he might be at his best there. 23 from Pringle and Ewan both. I saw that they played a little bit together towards the end of the game. 20 from Bill. That's about right. And when you get TB back in there, you'll pull a little bit from like you get Sealy's 13 and then pull from some of the other guys, but not bad. I see somebody in here said Billy kept cramping, and he was cramping a little bit. I'll also say it's interesting that we were right there by the bench, and like the bone, it sounded like on the outside of his ankle was bothering him a little. Like, he didn't roll his ankle or anything, but it was sore, almost like he was having some shin splints or something, maybe. Because that's what was getting checked out, and but he was back in there and was fine. But yeah, that was bothering him. I was a little bit worried about Carter Knox at one point. It looks like somebody like punched him in the chest or something, and so he was really over there with his rib, like, oh man. Well, then he came out there and hit a couple more threes, so he was okay from that standpoint. Just real quick on UCA, Arkansas allows only 56 points in this game. UCA shot 28% from the field. 4 of 41, which we've mentioned, from 3. And I don't feel like Arkansas played an A game defensively. Like they left a lot out there, man. They only turned them over 8 times, which was surprising to me. Arkansas is having a hard time right now with some rotations and some communication stuff. And a lot of it's centered around their freshman and Malik Ewan, if I'm being honest. Like, over the course of the next 3 games, I need to see Acuff, Malik Thomas, and Malik Ewan just get a half step faster on their rotations and get a hell of a lot better communicating some of the off-ball stuff and some of the rotations there. Because outside of that, I feel like Arkansas is really, really solid on the defensive end of the floor, but those guys are going to be out there for half the game, and it cost them sometimes in this game, but other times it just led to a wide open 3 that UCA couldn't make.
Yeah, and it helps that you had a team that pretty much isn't going to threaten you on the inside at all. Now, obviously, they might not always take 41 threes or whatever, but they really just don't have a guy that it's like, oh, hey, let's post up. Hey, don't let this guy catch it within 10 feet. Not really that type of team at all, which is always going to benefit Arkansas. The teams that are going to give them trouble are teams that can really score from the post a lot. I thought UCA bailed them out a good bit where, if you're out on the perimeter defending, you don't want to have to rotate 3 times, fight through a screen, and actually be keeping your eyes going head on a swivel. If you're standing in front of a guy and he takes a 3, it's like, that's the easy. That's what you would sign up for. All I got to do is put a hand up. I'm already taller than the guy. I just got to put a hand up. So I feel like they bailed Arkansas out a good bit. And I mean, they're just not a very good basketball team. And so I don't want to just completely throw out the numbers from this game defensively. Yeah. But I'm with you in that I don't really put a ton of stock in like what Arkansas did defensively, namely the fact that Arkansas didn't turn these cats over at all. And that actually bothered me a lot. Like it was like almost halftime, and I looked up, they had like little stats throughout the stadium, and it said 3 turnovers. It was almost halftime, and I'm just like, how does that happen?
They seem pretty content with just defending them in the half court. Like, and they would pressure them occasionally. And there was a couple spurts in the first half where they would trap a little bit and really, really apply the ball pressure. And then there were long stretches, man, where they were just very, very content with kind of being on their heels and defending their half court actions, which they kind of stink at right now. So maybe that was by design, man. They were just trying to get some reps in the half court. I don't know, but yeah, I really thought this was going to be a team that they'd be able to turn over 20 times and completely overwhelm. You only gave up 56 points anyway, so whatever. But at the end of the day, you did what you needed to do on the scoreboard. You had some positive developments with guys like Carter Knox going crazy and some good things to take away from it. But I'm not sure how much better they got from a game like this. The good thing is, while it's still bye games and you should still win convincingly against Samford and Winthrop, I think, which are the next 2 games you have coming up, those teams are better. And so it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge there to where, yeah, can you still get away with less than an A effort? Maybe, but they're going to make you work and make you improve on some of those things that maybe you didn't necessarily do in this one. I look up at the end of the game, and then after this, Andrew, we'll get into the chat and see how everybody's doing over there. But rebounding, like everybody's on that after that Michigan State game. You gave up 19 offensive rebounds. You got beat by a dozen or whatever. You look up, and Arkansas is plus 14 on the boards. I really wasn't crazy about it, if I'm being honest with you. They did get beat on the offensive glass, which kind of pisses me off. It was 10-8. I also understand that there were like 37 long rebound opportunities for UCA on those 3-pointers that they missed. It's just certain guys, you still didn't kind of see the max effort on the glass that drove me a little bit nuts at times. And I have a feeling when we get into the chat, there's going to be a lot of folks talking about one guy in particular that was maybe lacking in that department.
Well, hey, I will shout out to Nick Pringle, who did get defensive rebounds in this game. Good for him.
He did.
Yes, that is an option. He would always have like 4 offensive and 2 defensive. And you're like, dude, what the hell? You did the hard part. I'm with you. So I'll just, I'm assuming you're talking about Malik Ewing, right? Fair enough.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Which, okay, he ends up with 5 rebounds. I don't know how many, 20 whatever minutes. He averaged like 7 rebounds a game last year in 26 minutes or whatever. And I said it the other day on the show that I really think, and I didn't watch a ton of them at Florida State, I'm just assuming that's just a matter of the ball kind of bouncing to him. You mentioned that Arkansas dominated on the glass, but you didn't think they really did anything. That's kind of how I felt about this rebounding effort. I felt like the right team got every rebound for the most part. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think there was many examples of like, oh, that guy really went out of his way to go above that guy and get that rebound on either side. Like I didn't think Arkansas gave up a ton of rebounds where I'm like, oh man, how'd you give that one up? I just felt like it was kind of an okay effort there. I'm not like mad at Malik Ewing, but I will say, like you mentioned, Cal sees everything that we see and he's noticing that. I want Malik Ewing one day to have a game where it's like he clearly feels it and he's like, all right, I have to come out with a sense of urgency. And I want to see him almost overcorrect. Like, I know he's not going to just all of a sudden be a tenacious rebounder, Kenneth Fareed. But, like, I would like to see him overcorrect one day and just, like, get in foul trouble because he's going so hard over the back of someone else or he's knocking elbows. He's, like, overly physical. I want to see something like that just because that has to be something in his brain where it's like he knows his pros and cons as a player. Every NBA scout that he's ever talked to had to have mentioned, hey, your lack of physicality and your lack of, like, motor is kind of a huge issue. But at least his teammates gave him a few wide open dunks tonight.
Yeah, hell, that was good to see. He was better tonight than he has been, but still too much of the same issues and a long way to go. I think that's kind of where I'm at with Malik Ewing there. Hey folks, tonight's post-game show is brought to you by our friends over at Bet Saracen. It's Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. Did you have any luck if you got in on the action tonight? A couple dozen double R props to pick from there. Malik Thomas, usually good for it if it involves shot attempts, and he certainly was in this game as well. Check out Bet Saracen's no strings attached special where new users can bet $25 and get $125 in bonus bets instantly. All you got to do is download the Bet Saracen app by scanning the QR code on your screen and then use code INSIDEAR to get $125 instantly when you bet your first 25. It's Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. And we're also brought to you by our friends over at OZK Insurance. Nobody wants to deal with the hassle of shopping around, and that's why I use and recommend OZK Insurance. They're based right here in Arkansas. They shop multiple carriers to find the best coverage and price for you, whether it's home, auto, business, you name it. Whether it's Saturdays at Razorback Stadium or everyday life, you want protection you can count on. With over 600 5-star Google reviews, I think you can count on OZK Insurance. Get a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right, let's get into the chat, man. See how people are doing today. Maybe it's going to be
there. They're hanging in there. They're
hanging in there.
Okay,
good,
better.
Good.
Because Kentucky is now officially lost, by the way, which this will come as no shock that Cats by 21 was in our chat while Kentucky was losing. I kid you not.
Listen,
mid-loss, he's in here just rambling.
They said Calipari wasn't the brand, but here's Cats watching the Hogs post-game show after a game against
watching
UCA.
Arkansas-Uca post-game rather than his own team in a top 15 game. That's
crazy work. I can't wait to see some of the chats we'll get into from him. Our man Pete Walter says, not gonna lie, wasn't impressed. Glad to see Cater get it going. I saw he had and maybe they were super chats. We'll see, but I saw he was trying to correct to Carter like 1,000 times, and he said something about sorry boys, 6-pack in me. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, and I wasn't. I'm not saying that I'm not disappointed or anything like that. This happens when good teams play really bad teams. It's not that they played down to the level of their competition because you won by damn near 40, but you didn't go balls to the wall, max effort, completely focused execution, overcorrecting some things like we wanted them to from start to finish. Like I really was hoping that we would see, kind of like you said, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We're just going to go out there and handle our business and show that we're taking it seriously and we're going to get better from this basketball game. Arkansas didn't necessarily do that, certainly not for 40 minutes, but they won by 37 points and okay. So you take the positives from that. There's going to be film that they're going to watch that they're going to hopefully learn from, and we'll see what they look like on Friday. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not mad. I'm also not disappointed, but I'm certainly not looking at this going, wow, was exactly what I wanted to see, because it wasn't. And for decent stretches there, it was pretty sloppy.
I mean, is it fair to say, like, we all knew Arkansas was going to blow out UCA. Like, that was never in question. Like there was no doubt about that. And so it's like, yeah, my bad. Cater with a K. Cater with the K. I love that. He should open a catering business.
That's good
based
stuff.
On this. If it doesn't work out in the hoops department, but we all knew Arkansas was going to beat UCA, and that no matter what Arkansas did, Arkansas could have came out and said, we're only going to take mid-range pull-ups, and they would have won this game by 20. They could have said, we're going to only take threes. They would have won by 20. I just hated how aware they were of it. You kind of want to keep the song and dance going a little bit, where they play with that same intensity. And then maybe when you get up 42 at half, then you can coast. I don't like coasting from the beginning.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that one. That's a pretty good way to put it there. We've got Hairless Hog coming through with that $5 super chat. A hog of its word. Uninspired spread covering dub with TB grounded. That's the knocks I expected this year. I kind of agree with every bit of that. Yeah. Okay. Who am I to say who's hurt and not? Are we buying the back spasms thing?
Sure. I'll buy it.
Okay. All right.
I don't it, certainly, like if I found out that he had zero back problems whatsoever, I would not be like, no, come on. But I do buy that, like, at least 5% his back is hurting him.
Why would you suspend Trevin Brazil for what happened at Michigan State? Because you would do it because it's a bad look on the program, right? So if he's going to miss a game for that, I don't know why you wouldn't just say it. You know what I mean? Hey, we don't do that. Not acceptable. We're going to sit him for this game, and then we're going to move on. I don't think it's that big of a deal. They didn't do that. So I actually kind of tend to believe there might, and maybe there was some double meaning to it, but I'm with you. Like, yeah, sure, I'll kind of buy the back spasms thing. Because why would Cal just not be like, when he's talking to Z for the post game show with him and Chuck, or the pregame show, just be like, hey, yeah, we saw that, not okay. We're going to sit him for a game, let him think about it, and then we'll get him back in there. Why would you not do that?
I'm with you in that, like, it's not like the most unbelievable thing in the world, but there would have to be kind of a reason. And look, it might not be 100% just because of the back spasms. Maybe it really is a 50-50 thing where they said, his back's not great and we have this thing, so let's just go ahead and sit him. It may be that. But I do buy that, like, there is something going, like, there is at least something with his back that is a thing.
Yes.
Could he have played through it? I'm sure he could have, but I'm also
Right.
I really don't care. I mean, you're 37.5 point favorite. I really don't care if you hold out one of your better players. It's not going to offend me.
Exactly. We've got 3 producers, by the way, who are working hard
It's a
behind the
loaded
scenes
studio,
here.
bro.
Like Gigi and Cameron are just corralling this chat for us. Thank God for them. And John's got these press conference clips, and he put in our private chat that John Calipari's opener to the presser was long but electric. And so if he uses the word electric, we're going to play this and see what Cal had to say, and then we'll get back into everybody's chats. But it sounds like this might be something you want to listen to.
Long but electric. That's what that should be on your grave, Curtis.
I hope so. We'll ask the wife about that and see how she feels about it.
Tomorrow's practice is going to be, I need to do some stuff with the 2 bigs in because I like that group.
Love that he said that, by the way.
I think they're bought in, both of them. Got to get Malik to.
Now, I don't know about that one, but anyway, he's about to talk about Malik playing hard. I'm not going to stop it again, but I just needed to say that.
Play harder. Got to get Nick to recognize the spacing that he's got to have, where he's got to be standing. We got to have 3 or 4 things we do with those 2 in there together. You saw we did both running up and screening. Well, you got to do a few other things. You can't just run one thing. Carter, 10 rebounds. Like, that's who he should be. Yes, he made shots, but he rebounded the ball for us. Still, we're not cutting enough to create space. We're not passing just to pass. Everybody catches it, thinks he's got to make a bounce or a play. Just pass it. It's my turn. Can't play that. Can't play my turn basketball. But really happy for Isaiah. Again, like he fouled that 3-point shooter. And let me tell you why I didn't get upset. He raced in down the other end offensive rebound. I mean, he did exactly what I wanted him to do. And when he turned and started running back, he's not veteran enough to tell the guy in front of him, take mine. He doesn't know it yet. So what did he do? Ran right down the middle of the court, and then what? And then ran out to the corner to go get his guy and ran him over. I mean, and I'm like, look, he did what I wanted him to do. I still say he's shooting too many threes. What do you think he looks like when he goes at the rim? How about when he gets to the foul line? So get fouled. You're not getting fouled shooting threes. When we do our shooting drill, 10 guys do the shooting. In 5 minutes, we have guys making anywhere from 70, most of them between 70 and 55. He makes 40. Why are you shooting threes? Drive the ball. But a lot of stuff. I was mad at some of our turnovers. And then you look, we had 8. And I'm mad at 3. You shouldn't have any turnover. Yes, you should. So, I told him after. Some of you guys, I have a vision of what you could be, and that's what I'm coaching you to. And I apologize if I'm asking too much for you. But I know this, if I can get you to play the way I'm trying to get you to play individually, your life is going to change. I got some guys that try to shoot too many balls, would you say? But they're fearless, and they could run for president because they have an outworldly ego. And I don't want to take that away. So I got to juggle balls as we go and continue to coach them. You can't shoot bad shots because you're shooting too many already. I told them after the game in front of their teammates. That's when these guys got to do it. But I like my team. Go ahead.
Holy cow, dude. That was, listen, that was electric. That was amazing.
I love that man with all my heart. You have an outworldly ego.
Could run for president because they have an outworldly ego.
I'm juggling balls over here. This is crazy.
I really seriously though, I loved I'm coaching these guys because of the vision I have for them. I view you this way, and this is the way I'm going to coach you because this is what I want you to be. And I may be asking too much. I love that. I really do. I love what you were talking about earlier when you were saying you could see him just just dog cussing Malik Thomas the whole game.
Yes, man.
I love that. I that's what you want, man.
That was fantastic stuff from Cal right there. And I agree with pretty much every single word he said about the things they need to work on, what he liked, what he didn't like. I really do appreciate the idea of him playing Ewan and Pringle together more. And that's fine, man. When you have TB, that's fine. You got to be able to do that because sometimes you're not going to be able to play Carter Knox at the 4. And I feel like Ewan has looked his best when he's playing alongside Pringle. So that was really good. But yeah, some masterful words there from Coach Cal, man. That's really good stuff. Good job, John, for bringing that clip to us, man. That was pretty solid work there for sure.
Yeah. Okay, he does like his team, and he said that at the end, and I believe him. I believe he does like his team.
I think so too. I love how he does that. Yeah, he kind of did that. He was talking about leaking Acuff in the after the Michigan State game, and was pretty harsh on him. Like, hey, they weren't very good. Got to do this. They're playing like freshmen, whatever. And he's just like, I love those guys though. They're great players. Yeah, go ahead. Next question. Kind of the same thing here.
the Cal's dependence on freshmen to be very good has always been used as a knock against him. And I get it, especially if, you lose in the tournament and it's like, oh, you lose to an older team. Okay, fair enough. But I really do think his method of these guys are the most, these 5-star guys that I have high expectations for, putting them in a position where they have to do that. I mean, like he said, it will change their life, and I think that him coaching them that way is awesome because I think there's also this narrative that he gets these freshmen and he will let them do whatever they want. And that he lets the team, he'll just let DJ Wagner, a 5-star freshman, suck and do whatever. And he just kind of doesn't coach him do his own thing. And I think that's not accurate. I do think there is something to, there's a method to the madness for sure.
Yeah, there absolutely is. That's man, that's good. I can't wait to go back and listen to the rest of that press conference after we wrap up here. But let's get back into the chat because we got a lot of super chats and we appreciate everybody for tuning in and contributing. We want your voice to be heard on this live reaction show. So let's get back into it here after we were serenaded with the beautiful song of John Calipari post UCA. Tuna's House says Carter yay, Ewan yuck, shot selection mediocre, woo pig suey.
I'd agree with all these points here.
Yes. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself for sure. The shot selection was really getting on my nerves in the first half. The second half, I still thought they shot too many threes. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this about an Arkansas basketball team, but I thought the ones that they were taking were a lot better. It was, let's actually get into a little bit of action here. Maybe we get a paint touch and what's the right play? It's kicking out to the open shooter and he takes one in rhythm. Now, whether he makes it or not is a different story, but I thought the ones that they got were better and maybe the right shot, and they weren't taking them so early in the clock and stuff. It was nice to see Acuff get on that heater. I guess some guys are streaky where it's like, all right, he's been ice cold from 3 for a couple games and he has a really good one. Acuff does that throughout the course of games. It feels like when he gets hot, good Lord. I mean, think about the way he ended the first half against Southern and the way he started the second half against UCA here. Couldn't do anything with the kid. He is when he gets going, he's really, really fun to watch.
Acuff is a guy also. He took 8 threes in this game and made all 3 of his makes, to your point, were all within 1 minute. It was all within each other. I like when he's taking those pull-up jumpers that like aren't necessarily great shots, but it's like you can tell he's practiced them and it's like he feels comfortable taking them. He's going to make them at a high enough clip. I do wish we could get the pull up 2 that is 2 feet inside the 3-point line. I wish we could kind of phase that out. Yeah. We kindly asked last year for Billy Richmond to stop taking pull up mid-range shots, and he did. I haven't seen him take one in a long time. I'm okay if occasionally, hey, I want to get to my spot, I'm going to take a shot here. He'll literally take 1 step inside the 3-point line, and not one of those, oh, the guy closes out and he jumps and fades forward, so I step up. Just like I'm dribbling and I'm just going to dribble right to 2 feet inside and pull up. I can't stand those Boogie Fland-esque shots, I would call them. Although Boogie Fland did have a great second half and helped Florida win tonight.
Yeah, he struggled in the first half, picked it up in the second. They were lucky to get out of there with the win over Florida State. So interesting. Hey, could it be that a lot of really, really good teams in this country are figuring things out right now, because it seems like they are. Not necessarily speaking of really, really good teams in this country, but I do just have to pull this up. We'll take a break from the super chat just real quick, because you want to talk about aging poorly. The cold takes exposed of the century right here. I saw this before the result went final for Kentucky, but Cats by 90. Our guy, we do appreciate that you're here. He says, y'all lost to the only good team you played, then beat up on the pipsqueaks. If that ain't pot calling the kettle black, buddy, I don't know what is. Hold that L from your boys in Louisville. So tough scenes.
Well, also, I love the idea that like we would disagree with this notion. That we were like, no. That Michigan State game, that one doesn't matter. The 2 games against Southern and UCA, those are the ones that count. It's like, yeah, it's just kind of how the schedule laid out. And so, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. You will be able to continue to say that until Arkansas gets a shot against Duke on Thanksgiving Day. That's kind of where we're at for sure.
We're both 2-1. We beat the 2 bad teams we played. We lost to the 1 good team we played.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck with Michigan State. I think Kentucky plays them maybe a week from today or something. So the student section, we appreciate you. He says, if I had a nickel for every time we overplayed a passing lane and got backdoored, I'd have enough to pay off the loan I took out for this super chat. Yeah, they did quite a bit of that. They did quite a bit. And I want this team to be aggressive. I really do. But at some point, you've got to have a little bit of understanding of what UCA was trying to do there and where they were hurting you. And the communication's just not quite there yet for Arkansas. And I really do think, and I want to go back, if I have time, when's Arkansas play again? Friday? If I have time over the course of the next couple of days, I want to really go back and watch this game and like stop and start it a bunch, because I just got the feeling that a pretty large majority of Arkansas's defensive breakdowns are caused by 3 people right now. And it's your 2 freshmen and the center that everybody thinks is lazy. And I know the 2 freshmen are going to get better. The more they play, the reps, the understanding, the more stuff you see, that's all going to be there. And they're both really hard workers. They're good kids. Like they're going to figure it out. So I'm not worried about that. You need to get your big man going, but I feel like that's the core of the issue right now. Did you get that sense?
Oh, 100%. I have a bold take for you, Curtis. You ready for this one?
Okay.
Not only will Malik Thomas get better defensively, I think he will be an above average defender by the end of the year.
I think so too.
There's something there with him, and I'm with you that I think it's him and Akov. It's like they're a half step slow, where it's like, and I don't think it's, they can't move laterally. I just think it's one of those, the more you play, the more you see certain actions, you just start instinctively getting to those spots. Muscle memory takes over. But I do think Malik Thomas, like, I don't think there's an effort issue with him.
No.
I think and he's got good hands, active hands. You see him in the passing lanes a lot. Everyone on this team gambles a lot. One thing that I've noticed, like, they do gamble a decent amount, which is only a problem if you don't generate any turnovers, which is what they also do. But yeah, they gamble a lot, and then it seems like when their opponent gambles or when their teammate gambles, they're not really there to help them out a lot.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And if you're gonna gamble, you better be smart enough to scramble and get to the right spot if it doesn't pay off for you. And that's where they're not at right now. You gamble and then you turn around and you got to know where the hell you're going to, because somebody's picking up your slack and you got to go pick up theirs. And they get burned on that from time to time. I'm with you. I do think there's something there with Leak. He's made a lot of really important defensive plays for Arkansas so far. One thing I saw tonight that I just put it in the back of your mind and kind of keep an eye on it when Arkansas starts playing some better teams again. Cam Hunter for UCA, one thing you can say about him, he's really strong. Like, he's 6'2", 220 pounds, and he was kind of bully balling him. And they ISO'd him in the post and
hitting point guard post hooks.
Yeah, man. And so some of these veteran SEC guards that are going to outweigh him by 20, 25 pounds, they might try to pick on him a little bit. Now, I think he's enough of a competitor and he's got quick hands, so he's going to be able to do some things there, but coaches are going to try to draw some things up to get the same looks that UCA did, and they're going to have better players doing it. So how's Arkansas going to counteract that? That was one thing I noticed multiple times tonight, and I was like, oh, yeah, I hadn't really considered that. So let's see what we got here. Sam Temple, we appreciate you, says, how concerned are we about Ewan for the big picture of the season, scale of 1 to 10? How disappointed are you, Curtis, that we didn't grab an insurance big? I am disappointed in that. I'm fine with we all thought Ewan was going to be better than he has been so far. I mean, I understand we're 3 games into this. It's not a question of talent. It's kind of a question of effort and awareness. You can decide if that's a good thing or not. I'm still not sure, but they should have gone and got a backup 4. And I understand you can play Carter and go small ball at the 4. In some cases, in others, you can't. Like, I just wish that they had that in their back pocket when other teams are playing small, or when you can really exploit a matchup, that you don't have to do it out of necessity. They could have gone and got a backup 4 who could also play the 5 and kind of kill 2 birds with one stone. Then you got a stretch guy with Trevin, and then you have another guy who's maybe mobile enough to defend some at the 4, but strong enough to do some at the 5. They should have went and got another guy. They absolutely should have. And they went and got Elmer and Paolo, and I think they had the understanding they weren't really going to utilize either one of them this year. So I don't count that. Like, yeah, if shit completely hits the fan, then sure, you can play one of them. There's a reason why they're not playing right now. So I do wish they would have done that. 1 to 10 scale concern for you in big picture of the season. 5. 5 or 6 is where I'm at. It's too early, I think, to go completely off the rails. And I was pissed after that Michigan State game. You'd asked me right after that. I said 10. I'm out. He's driving me nuts, man. I just, what I will say is I don't think the front court is going to be the massive strength for this team that I thought it was. I thought it was an underrated group coming in that would kind of overexceed everybody's expectations. I'm not sure that I'm feeling that right now. The more comfortable Arkansas gets in the half court, the more comfortable these freshman guards get with running some of the sets in the system, the more effective Malik Ewan's going to be offensively, but he's got to figure out the motor stuff and the defensive stuff. So yeah, I do have a pretty decent level of concern with that here early.
You know, it would be convenient for the Arkansas Razorbacks right about now.
What's that?
Is if Trevin Brazile could play like 28 to 30 minutes a game, and really buy in. Because by the way, I know he scored 25 points the other night, and he's going to be featured plenty offensively. I don't think Arkansas is going to be running offense through him. Like, I know that, I know we view him as an offensive guy. I really don't think he's going to be like a centerpiece of the offense necessarily, despite scoring a ton. I think he's got to buy into being this kind of defensive anchor a little bit, because he's kind of the only one that can really protect the rim at an above average level between all those guys. And I think he's going to have to be on the floor a lot. But I think I know that it sucks that we're kind of accepting that Malik Ewan might have a reduced role a little bit, but maybe that's better for him. I don't know. Yeah. And maybe for Arkansas, because we're all worried about Malik Ewan and like, is he going to live up to being this guy? Well, if Trevin is the guy that he's supposed to be, there's a little bit less pressure on Ewan to be this world beater who has to come in and play with his hair on fire.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. If other guys step up, and it does help that, yeah, Trevin being that guy, 100% agree with that. It takes some pressure off of Ewan to be what we hoped he would be. Nick Pringle being better at things like when they got Ewan and Pringle, me personally, I was thinking, okay, you're going to have, 25 plus minutes of Ewan and 12 to 15 of Pringle, and that's going to be your platoon. And now I think it might be more of a split, or maybe Pringle plays a little bit more, but Pringle has also impressed me with some of the things he does. He doesn't need to score a bunch. He doesn't need a bunch of touches and, post opportunities, and they don't have to run a bunch of stuff through him. And that's all great because you have freshmen who are shooting like 80% of your shots right now. What's he going to do? He's going to rebound. He's going to defend. He'll set screens. You can lob it up to him. He'll go get it. And he's perfectly content with that. So I think that helps also. But they absolutely need more from Malik Ewan, man. Like there's no question here. Filthy Tom says Malik Ewan plays like a very polite young man. Yeah, he's not the only thing he's pretty passionate about out there is never having his jersey tucked in. So
that is one of the things that's always been a point of emphasis for him.
Yes, absolutely has been. And maybe he has a mean streak. And maybe he is one of those guys where you get him in, you get him a touch early, he gets a bucket, and then he gets super motivated. We just need to I hate to be like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it after 3 games, but it's kind of where I'm at. Our man Rufus is in the chat. I love that. He says, young Wagner belongs in the starting 5. Composure incarnate. Kentucky, alas, learned composure by other means tonight. Woo Pig Suey from the UK. Overseas, by the way. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff from Rufus there. Yeah, that's the one thing with DJ. I really do like the idea of, could he just be the guy, be the leader of the second unit? It also depends on how your two freshmen handle starting games. And they'll be fine in games like this, but what would that look like when you're playing Tennessee in the SEC opener, when you're at Alabama or whatever? But the further along they get, the more composed those guys are going to be and everything. I think it's a moot point because I don't think Cal's ever going to take DJ out of the lineup. So,
and to be fair, I love DJ Wagner's body language, the composure,
yeah.
like he said, like he really he's doing his job and doing it well, I would say.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Landon Jackson says, I get a big part of Ewan playing tough is just him having to do it himself. But as a coach, what would you do to pull the competitive fire out of him? Well, you could start by screaming in his face as you're subbing him into the game. Like you're walking him up to the scorer's table, screaming energy at him. The more you hear it, maybe you provide it, I guess. I think some of it, he's got to figure out what Malik Ewan responds to, right? Because this conversation and the answer to this could be different for any player. Like Trevin, for example, didn't really respond to the Eric Musselman method of, you suck, I hate you, I'm never going to play you. This isn't like, he didn't respond to that. But Cal has given him some positive reinforcement, and he has. What does that look like for Malik Ewan? Because what they've been trying to do is, okay, well, let's get him in there and let's see if we can get him a touch, run some action for him and see if that gets him going. Okay, well, we're not going to take Nick Pringle out of the lineup because we like what he's given us, but let's just start Malik Ewan in the second half of every game and see if that gets him going a little bit. So they're trying all that, and they're trying to yell at him to get him to play harder and just make it a very consistent point of emphasis. The next thing would be bench him, right? That's the next thing to try. It's like, okay, if you're not going to give us that extra level, if you're not going to crank it up a notch, then we're going to crank your playing time down a notch. And maybe then you're just a bit guy. And if you start giving us in shorter spurts what we want, then we'll increase your minutes. Outside of that, I don't even know what else you would do.
Yeah.
What did he say? He said at Michigan State, like, what is my best friend? The bench. And I don't know that I don't think we're there yet.
No.
With Malik Ewan,
especially
by the way.
Still out. You kind of
exactly right. If I'm them, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, we really got nothing from him against Southern, and it was rough outside of like a 2-minute stretch there against Michigan State. What can we do here? All right, well, we got 10 points on 4 or 5 shooting and 5 rebounds there out of Malik Ewan, and we played him 23 minutes. Let's show him the film of the good things he did and say, hey, more of that and the good sequences he had when he won a couple 50-50 defensive rebounds there. And then let's also show him the times where, hey, the effort was lacking. Hey, you didn't scramble back fast enough defensively. Hey, this 6'3" white kid got the rebound over you because you didn't box him out, and just try to take baby steps from there. Let's see. Trip Conley, appreciate that super chat. Trip says, I really wish we could get Bud rocking every game again. I went to Michigan State game and they have it packed every game and loud. Really wish we could figure this issue out. I know. I get it. It's crazy. Like every tweet that I had about the game itself, I'd have 2, 3, 4 people being like, who cares? Crowd sucks. Embarrassing crowd, embarrassing showing. And the whole time I'm sitting there wondering, like, are the people who are tweeting at me at the game? But they might not even be in Northwest Arkansas to where they could get there. Yeah, it was bad. I don't even know what to say about it. Thank God it filled in just a little bit. At tip-off, I was looking at it going, this might be the smallest crowd I've seen in Bud Walton Arena since I've been covering the team. It filled in a little bit. It was probably, what do you think, like on par with the Southern crowd, maybe?
Yeah, what I liked is that there weren't huge pockets of emptiness, but like every row in the building had like 3 or 4 empty seats.
Yeah, you could stretch out and get pretty comfortable in there. I don't know, man.
I think we're so far away from having this issue resolved.
Exactly.
And I don't, like, we've talked a lot about it on Inside Arkansas Live, on this show. I think we've talked about it as much as we can. I really don't think that there's anything like in the works. I see the U of A yesterday tweeting out like, hey, we expect every seat to be filled. Get rid of your tickets and all that. I mean, I think they know they screwed the pooch here, and that,
right.
Whatever. Maybe it really will. Maybe this whole reseating thing will generate all that money that they wanted, in which case, cool. But it does feel like we've just kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul a little bit.
Yeah, and I will say, we sat down, and you did too, where you were at, in the seats that were like and it's like, oh, well, congratulations, bougie us. Now we just got lucky with some folks that they hooked us up in this game on this particular night, but we're the people who are donating like $40,000 for the reseating thing. And that's just to get your pick and then pay for the tickets. And maybe I don't understand what it's like to have that kind of money, but if I had to front that, my damn seats wouldn't be empty. First of all, my butt would be in them. Like if I'm paying that, my ass is going to be in my seat every game. That's an investment, man. And if it's not, are you just charging too much to try to get rid of them, or are you just like letting them go on you? I just don't understand how you could make that big of a financial investment into seats at this game and just be perfectly content with them not being used. It's wild to me.
I would like to hear from more people that aren't in those situations. You know, if you're the whatever guy at JB Hunt that is in charge of 20 tickets or whatever, like, are you just giving them away to coworkers that aren't going? Like, what is actually happening there? Like, is it just that, hey, I want to go to these 4 games and I know it's going to cost X amount of money, and so I might as well do it? We've said this 1,000 times. I'm just going to, every single time we have this conversation, I'm just going to throw it out there until one day we live in a just society where it exists. I think there has to be some type of incentive program for attending games. Like, I think if you attend X amount of games, you get bumped up, or there's some type of retribution, or some type of on the back end. And I also think there should be not consequences where you're not fining people, but like, I think if you have 10 tickets and they look at the end of the year and they're like, hey, you only used your tickets for 3 games, that ticket was only scanned. It doesn't even have to be you. It can be someone else, but that ticket was not being used. You don't get 10 tickets. Like, we can still give you 5, we can give you 6 maybe or whatever, but it's like, you don't get the same amount for if we have it on record, we know that your ticket is not going to be used. I don't know, but I think the U of A is just at a point where they're like, why would we not accept these donations from people, even if they're not going to come to the games? If someone's going to give us $20,000, $40,000, because those are some of the numbers of these donation levels, it's like, if their people are going to give that to not come to the game, who is the U of A to tell them they're not, no, you can't do that.
Right. Especially at a time where, what do we keep hearing so much about? How are we possibly going to get this $20.5 million for revenue share? And like when you have to fire 18 of your own people in the athletic department on top of what you already did for the reseeding, they're not in position to tell anybody who's making those types of donations, like, oh yeah, sorry, you're not going to the game, so we're not going to allot you this anymore. That's what they should do, but they're not in a position to do it because money talks. And that's frustrating. I hate that it's become such a corporate type of event. I was hoping they would do something a little bit different with the student section in the similar vein to like what a Michigan State does or what an Auburn does, which is really cool. I know Bud's a bigger arena, so you might have to get creative about it. But no, it's frustrating. They'll still have really good crowds for the big time games, but I do long for the days where it didn't really matter who was coming in there. Not that you would have all 19,200 seats filled every night. But there were several thousand more in those seats just a few years ago for games like this. And the place is wild and it was rocking and the atmosphere was awesome. And I think this team deserves that. So it's a frustrating deal. And there's a lot of reasons why it happened. I'm sure we'll keep talking about it for God knows how long until they hopefully get it figured out. Steve Bardwell, we appreciate you coming in with that Price is Right. 501 says, feels like last year, one good front court player away from a championship level team. Maybe.
I take it this is assuming Trevin Brazil is not going to be a good front court player.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. With TB, it's like maybe there's going to be some ups and downs here. If TB is just even consistently what he was at the end of last season, then you're really onto something there. And I will point out that Nick Pringle was a starter who played significant minutes on a Final Four team at Alabama. You know what I mean? So like he's better now than he was then. It's like, I'm not saying he's a star by any means, but I do think when you have, look at that trio today, and they weren't overly efficient or whatever, but you get 17 out of Leak, you get 21 out of Acuff, and you get 19 out of Carter. And, maybe those are your 2 guards and your starting wing right there. And then hell, if you're getting 12 and 7 out of TB, what do you really need? from the center spot. Like there's not that many not that many shots to go around and everything. So I get it, and maybe it's not quite what we thought it was going to be, but the jury's still out on certain things here, I think. But I hope that you wind up being wrong. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I do think that they're going to wind up being in a little bit better of a position than they were last year if they stay healthy. We'll see. Paddlefish says, oh, yeah, well, here we go. Says TB underwent a metamorphosis after Thero's injury, so we know what he's capable of. What do you think the problem was versus Michigan State? Sleepwalking. I think it was foul trouble.
It was the fact that he got out of the game immediately.
Yeah, I mean, 2 fouls right away in the first half, and then he had to sit. He got baited into that third one, like right away in the second half. It was that. I feel like TB was kind of primed to have a pretty solid game there. And you just didn't get to see him out. He played like 16 minutes. And I thought in the second half when he was in there, he didn't really have much going on offensively. And I felt like he never really got into a rhythm there. Nobody did for Arkansas. But I remember that stretch in the second half where he was like getting deflection after deflection, and he was fighting his ass off for positioning down there in the post. And I actually thought when he was on the floor for a while in the second half that he looked pretty good in there. It was just, you didn't have him because of the foul trouble. And that's where, another big man could have come in handy. So like, I really coming out of that, I was upset because I was like, this is why you can't have TB in foul trouble. But I wasn't worried about what this was going to look like for him moving forward. We're still really bullish about it. The frustrations, the chirping in the handshake line, smacking the kid in the face with a towel, that concerns me just from a standpoint of, we thought that he might have leveled up from the maturity standpoint of things to where he can shake off a bad performance. Something goes wrong for him in a game, he can shake it off and come back from it. One off night's not going to turn into 2 off nights. And now I'm just not so sure how far along he's come there, and he doesn't play in this game. I'm going to be pretty anxious to see what he looks like on Friday because I do expect him to be back. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I also just, I think, we talked about Steve Bardwell says Arkansas is one front court player away from being a championship level team. I think Trevin could be that front court player. We noticed that Arkansas's guards are having a tough time getting downhill. I think having Trevin on the floor helps. We haven't seen a ton of great pick and roll action from Arkansas. I think Trevin helps that. And so I don't want to like hype Trevin up like he's this god or anything, but it's like, I think a lot of Arkansas's issues on both ends of the floor, frankly, I think Trevin is the solution too, which now makes me realize, damn, maybe this team is a little bit more dependent on Trevin than we realize. I think part of the magic of what he captured down the stretch last year when Thero went out is it's not like Arkansas was going into games being like, hey, Trevin, we need 15 and 8, buddy. He would just do it. And so it is going to be interesting to see. Like, I think that's what we have learned though through 3 or 4 games is we knew Trevin was going to be a big piece on the team, but it's like, I think he's actually might be like a make or break type of, like, he is the guy that we always said going into the season, we said the 2 freshmen are going to determine Arkansas's ceiling. I think that's no longer true. I think we kind of know what the freshmen are and what that shot distribution is going to look like. I think Trevin is now the guy who is going to directly impact how good or not good or bad, because they're not going to be bad. How really, if this team is good or great, it's going to be determined by Trevin Brazile.
Yeah. Yes. I think I'm with you. The further along we get here, the more I'm starting to feel the same way. Okay. We've gone a little bit long, but I do want to just kind of go rapid fire through some of these other chats that we had starred because we do have some good ones here. So we'll roll through it quick and then we'll call it a night. But let's see. Jay Neighbors, it already happened, but if Kentucky loses, they should drop 7 spots in the rankings like we did, right? Yes, they should. And if they don't, I'm going to riot. And by that, I'm just going to send a very pointed tweet that's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't care. Not a burner 25 says, Ewan not dominating the glass against UCA pisses me off. If you can't rebound well against them, he's just not going to.
I don't think this is an oversimplification, one could argue, but I don't think it's a crazy notion.
Yeah. It's almost like he had to have felt the sense of urgency that people were placing on him, and then he went out there on the floor and didn't play with it. Like, I don't know, man. Because like, great, a small baby step maybe in the right direction, but if it's me and the game is played out the way that it is, and I got the start in the second half, and it's like, all right, and even if I didn't notice, if I didn't realize it myself throughout the flow of the game, when I'm getting subbed back in, I've got John Calipari of all people, screaming in my face, energy. Like I would just go out there and run over somebody or unnecessarily dive for a loose ball or jump like you mentioned earlier, like jump over somebody's back trying to get a rebound and just eat the foul because I'm giving a crazy effort play. And it didn't happen for whatever reason there. So I don't know. We'll see if they can pull it out of him. Pretty casual guy. What do you think about this from UMF Pig? Bud might be a bottom 5 atmosphere in the SEC. No,
it's not, but only because it is just such a large venue that like there are, even on the worst nights possible, 12,000 is more than all but about 6 venues in the SEC on a given night, you know? And so it's like, and I do think like, I will also say like, what are we judging the criteria off of? Because I think we agree that like when good teams come to town, the environment obviously is going to be way different.
Right.
If you judge Arkansas on games like this, then yeah, you know, it's certainly nothing to write home about. I would argue that when the Kentucky game happens, I think that night will probably still be a top 3 atmosphere the SEC sees all season.
Yeah. This is kind of a college basketball wide problem where people aren't really excited about games like this. Now, what makes this more of a conversation for Arkansas is that this hasn't been an Arkansas specific problem in the past, and now it is.
Mm-hmm.
Bud Walton's been different, and that's why people put him on the list of top 10 venues and top 10 most intimidating atmospheres and everything like that. If you go around the SEC and just take a look at the crowd from every one of these teams' bye games early in, the first couple weeks of the season here, with the exception of like 2 venues, it's kind of the same situation. Like Auburn's not packing it out, and that's a small arena. Bama's not packing it out. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, all these other places really aren't doing that either. Florida, even defending national champions. It's kind of one of those things. So we have to understand that, but it is very noticeable, I think, at Arkansas. I want to bring this up real quick from our man Peyton. Shout out Blue Ember, says, I feel like the pick and roll action is not used nearly enough with this group. I agree. I thought that we would see more of that. I thought we'd see more dribble handoff. I thought we'd see more stuff initiated from the high post, which they started doing in the second half a little bit, because that's all we saw in the preseason. They just haven't done a whole hell of a lot of that in some of these early games. I'm not as upset about it after watching the second half of the game. The first half, I was like, there are 4 dudes just kind of hanging out on the perimeter and Nick Pringle standing on the block. And it's just, I'm trying to dribble and do something. And if I can, I'll kick it over. It was gross basketball, but they got it going. Yeah, I'd like to see some more ball screen stuff.
I know we're being very harsh on Malik Ewan, and like Cal said, we're being harsh because we had high expectations. I think that's the one area of his game that I really do think he could actually change. Like, he's not going to just become a good rebounder overnight. He's not going to become physical. I do think he could become a much more dynamic screener, that really you could do some interesting things with. And we saw a little bit. We saw some flashes of it tonight. I would love to see more for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Hunter Ratio says, who would y'all say we couldn't beat in the SEC right now? Nobody.
Yeah.
There's not a single team in the SEC that I just look at and go, yeah, Arkansas doesn't have a chance. Not from a talent standpoint, not from a they're playing better standpoint, not from a, this is a horrible matchup. No, put Arkansas on a neutral floor with any team in the SEC, and there's not a single one where I'd be like, yep, not happening tonight.
Obviously, some teams you wouldn't be confident, like I think if they played Bama 10 times right now, they probably only win 3, but it's like, but to your point, like there's nobody that they couldn't get up for and play a good game and beat.
Right. Hell, Arkansas just, they went 13-34 from 3. They might be built for Bama. Maybe that was the plan all along, is build a roster that's going to be a little bit more apt to play in Alabama style. That could be, I kind of wish in a way that they would play, not right now, because you still got to figure some things out with your freshmen, but I wish they played a little bit sooner than they did, because I can't wait to watch that basketball game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm pissed that it's going to be played in that, I don't even know what you want to call that arena. You shouldn't even call it an arena. They don't. It's a coliseum. It looks like it's something that was built back in the Stone Ages or whatever, but it's going to be a fun game for sure. But anyway, Andrew, any final thoughts that you would like to get off your chest before we get out of here for the evening?
I don't think I have any final thoughts. I think we covered it all pretty well. Like we're on the same page. We're okay with it. We're not upset, but you half-assed it a little bit out there tonight. That was the most half-assed 37-point win I've ever seen. It's not a crime. It's actually something that once this team gets rolling and the season of this, or the story of this season plays out, we won't even remember that this happened. I do yearn for the days, though, that this group looks like a real team out there. Mm-hmm. And not many people do this time of year. I mean, there's a lot of teams you look around that are not playing great basketball. But I think if we replayed this game in February, Arkansas wins by, like, I'm not even exaggerating, like 55 points.
Yeah.
Conservative. Like, I really think that's possible. And so I think it's going to be nice when we get to that point later in the year where we'll be able to look back at this and confirm, yeah, that was a half-assed effort. We know what you actually can do. We know how you can attack downhill. We know how you can turn teams over on the defensive end. And so, hey, tonight, a half-assed effort, get you a 37-point win. You can't make a habit of it, but I'm not upset by it.
Yeah. Learn, experience, grow, develop, come together as a team. You got 3 more opportunities to do all those things before
we got a super chat. I'm sorry. We got a super chat.
It always happens.
You're going to hate this, Curtis. It's a baseball question. Not that you hate baseball, but I just thought that was funny that I'm extending the show to talk about baseball. But Orca, the whale, says, hey, Ellis, who will be the next Vahiva this season? So who is going to win the Golden Spikes for the Arkansas Razorbacks this year? I think if Arkansas were to have a Golden Spikes winner, it would be Gabe Gackle. But since he's a pitcher and not a position player, I assume that's not what you mean. Give me TJ Pompey, because I think that he checks a lot of similar boxes. He's not going to be as good as Vahiva, but 6'4", long, rangy. Back in the day, Curtis, you know Ozzie Smith. Shortstops used to be little guys. That just used to be the thing. No longer the case. You had a 6'4" shortstop, just wins the Golden Spikes at Arkansas. We'll see if Pompey ends up starting at third base or shortstop, but it's 6'4", 210, just a big donkey of a human being, very toolsy. And he's been really impressive defensively to me this fall, and I think he's going to have a pretty awesome offensive season as well. So I'll go with him. TJ Pompey, the Texas Tech transfer.
I like that. Wow, there you have it. We just cover all our base. Anybody have any questions about the coaching search? Just kidding. We'll do that tomorrow. But we are going to get out here for now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, rocking with us as always. I know it's getting a little bit late here and everybody's got work in the morning and everything. So cool to see everybody in here talking about a 37-point win against a pretty bad team for the Razorbacks. But we'll do it all over again on Friday. Looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for the post-game report card. We'll have that out for you. Subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Find us where you find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you listen. We can be found there, and we can be found right back here Friday after the game. Pod the Palace post-game show will be rolling again. I think Sanford's in town. Whatever. We'll talk about that more in the coming days. But for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, see you guys when we see you. Everybody have a good night.